What I can tell you is that I've had the one surgery to where, like I said, my eye is still there, but it is completely whited out. I went back to have what you see here, which is an actual cover. It's a cover that's pretty much shaped like this, and my eye actually sits inside of it. So I would have to cover it up so that way it looks like an actual eye. I've had an eyelid surgery, which you probably can't see on here, but there is a cut on my eyelid where they actually had to cut a piece of it out to lift it up, because as you get older, your eyes and your body starts to form, and so it started looking more and more like it was closed. Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 2 of Boozy Beats Bang podcast. I am your host, Trenton Priest. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. The podcast is now being broadcast through Spotify. We also are on iHeartRadio and a couple different platforms. All the information will be linked on the Instagram. We also are on TikTok, and all of them are under the name Boozy Beats Bang Podcast. This is going to be episode 2, and it is titled The Elephant in the Room. Yeah, I like to play with sound effects. It's kind of cool. So this is going to be one of probably the most personal things that I do. I talked a little bit in the very first episode about how I wanted to be a little bit more open with friendships and talk about things that I don't normally talk about with all my friends. And hopefully this can help some others to open up about things that they are going through or things that they deal with that people don't know, that maybe they're afraid to talk about. Or maybe this could even be for somebody that's going through what I'm going to discuss. But quick shout out, I wanted to say a big thank you to Papo Sticker Company and Tattoo Tony Rodriguez up in New Jersey for the awesome logo. Tony, thank you so much. I've had a little bit of interest in merch for that, and right now we're just going to see where things go, and if enough interest gets built, then I will talk with Tony about that, and we'll see what we can do to get the logo done on some shirts and maybe get them out to people. Like I said, I'm very new to this podcast thing, so please be patient. There's probably going to be some things that I say that maybe are confusing, and I'm going to try to do my best not to be. Also, I am filming this at home, so room's not soundproofed, and I believe they are doing some yard work outside, so you might hear a lawnmower or something like that, or you might even hear people walk by, you may hear a dog bark, whatever. We'll get through that. I'm going to make this as short as I can, but I do want to talk about this, and kind of want to give everybody probably the answer to one of the things that constantly gets asked. And the reason why I say that it's called the elephant in the room is because usually if I walk into a room and people see me or whatever, there's certain things that they kind of want to whisper and talk about, but are afraid to ask. So I'm going to talk about that. Back when I was a child, probably I want to say 4 or 5, but I don't know exactly because, like I said, I was pretty young when this happened. Um, what I can tell you is that I remember one night or whenever waking up and kind of screaming and being really upset and having some vision issues. My brother then proceeded to, because he was with me as well, and he's the one that noticed it, and he went and got my parents and said that something's wrong, something's wrong. I had, when my parents turned on the light and they looked at me, one of my eyes, particularly this one over here, my left one, was completely dilated white. They rushed me to the doctor, and at that time, we did a lot of, I went to Fort Belvoir Hospital and Walter Reed because my dad was retired military, and so we constantly would go to one of those two hospitals. And what I was diagnosed with is something that's called Coates disease. At that time, I really didn't understand it. I really didn't know what was going on. I just knew that I couldn't see out of my left eye. So over time, what I've learned and what I've actually been reading as of lately is this is something that does affect mostly kids. Boys are really affected, and this can happen anywhere. Normally, in like pre-pubescent air, like in 8 years old to about 14 or something like that. I could be wrong. Like I said, it's out there. You can look it up. But for me personally, like I said, this was early in life. You got to think this is late 70s, early 80s. And so at that time, things weren't really known. And even now, when I did some reading up on this disease, I found that there's still no cure, no true explanation as to why it happens or what happens. But I do know that there are a few people that sometimes get lucky, if caught early enough, and it's not as bad, then you can end up gaining and regaining sight in your eye. Unfortunately for me, I was not one of those, and I, at an early age, lost all sight in my left eye. Um, it's something that I've dealt with since being a child. Uh, I think the hardest thing about dealing with it all was growing up. As kids, kids are hard. Things can be difficult, especially during that time period. There was no anti-bullying. There wasn't anything like that. Kid could just say what he wanted to say, and unless teacher overheard it and said something, then, there's not really much you can do. And in neighborhoods and things like that, especially in the neighborhood I grew up, I grew up off of Richmond Highway in an apartment complex called Gum Springs. Anybody that's from that area would understand where that is. And so growing up back then, it was really rough. A lot of kids had a lot of things to say, and I was bullied a lot. I was picked on about it. I was called a cyclops because technically I did only have one eye. It was very weird and odd for me because, even though like what you see in front of you now looks like a person that has two eyes, and sometimes even people do make the comment of, oh, well, they can somewhat see somewhat of a slight movement. Reason behind that is because there is an eye, but it's just not what you would think it is. And I've been struggling to decide on how I want to pursue this podcast, because at one point I was just thinking, you know what, I'm just going to show people and, let them understand. But we'll get to that maybe. But like I said, growing up as a child, it was very difficult. I was picked on. There was a lot of things that were said, and me, and like I said, calling One-Eyed Willie and Cyclops and what's wrong with you and why is your eye all messed up, and the freak and everything like that. There was also the safety issue of it all, because of the fact that I only have one eye. Being a kid, you like to play and you move around and you wrestle and tussle and stuff like that. My parents were very scared for that because, when you only have vision in one eye, that one eye becomes sacred. Everything about it, like you want to protect it. Your parents want it to be protected, but as a child, you just want to have fun. You want to be able to play with your friends and enjoy life and be able to do all the fun things that every other kid's doing. But because of that, there's that one safety issue where you have to be very concerned about if something happens, if you poke your eye or if somebody pokes you in the eye, there's no coming back. If it gets damaged and you lose that eye, now you're considered, you're blind. So my parents, they tried their best. I had to wear glasses. I did play sports at, a little bit of an older age. So I did play t-ball, and like I said, I played t-ball, I played basketball, and I had to wear safety glasses. But I can remember times where, I'd be out playing and I would forget as a child to put my glasses on, and so I'd just go out and play with my friends and have a good time. And, my mom or dad would see me, and especially my mom was really good about it, and I love her for that. But she would see me out, and she would call me and tell me to come in the house, and I'd go in the house, and first thing she'd say is, "Wear your glasses." Oh, well, I forgot to put them on before I went out. She's like, really? Okay. Back then, I also used to have to wear an eye patch over it because once in a while they were designing what you see here, I would have to have a patch over it, and sometimes I would sleep with a patch on it just so that it could, kind of air out, breathe, and whatever. So my mom she'd be like, okay. So she'd grab my patch, and she'd like, put this on your eye. Of course, I'd go to put it over my left eye. She says, no, put it over your right eye. Since you want to decide that you can forget something that's that important. I want you to see what could happen if something happens to your eye. And literally, she would make me put on that patch over my right eye, and I would have to try to maneuver and see life as if I were blind. Like I said, I don't think that is cruel punishment. I think that is probably one of the best things that she did. Um, and, they were very, 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 very protective of it. And they were trying to teach me to be responsible, that, you have to protect this at, any cost, because like you said, if something happens and you're blind, now your life really changes. But it also made me appreciate the fact that I wasn't, because now it's like, okay, this could be worse. I could be completely blind. I could have had to grow up and try to figure out and maneuver life being blind, which people do. But, when you're a child and you've had vision and you've seen, and suddenly it's taken away, it can be very difficult. And that's for anybody that's ever lost their vision or lost hearing or anything like that. It can be difficult those first few years. And, as a child, it was just something I was scared of. So it became a thing that I wore my glasses. So now now it goes from being the Cyclops to not being four eyes, because you only have three. So now you're just three-eyed. So, the jokes and everything came, and they kept going, and they went through a lot through elementary school and even a little bit through junior high. But it also kind of changed my way of protecting myself, to where things could happen, or, people would slap at my face or anything like that. And I've always had this thing about, if you do not touch my face, because of that fear of you accidentally doing something or accidentally hitting my eye, or just something like that. And I kind of carried that a little too much sometimes. So even growing up as a child or later in life, I would react to it in not such a positive way. Sometimes it would resort in a violent issue. I could tell you instances of being in situations with friends and hanging out and having a good time, and something would happen, and I would go in and try to de-escalate the situation, break it up. One instance, with some friends out in Georgetown, we were having a good time, and a friend of mine made a comment to a girl, which wasn't a big deal. It was nothing big, but the guy that she was with had an issue with it and said something back to him. And at first I kind of looked at it and just kind of watched it, but then it turned into something where I could see where this was about to go bad. And like I said, I'm in the middle of DC. I was a little intoxicated, so I really didn't want to do this. So I tried to break it up. I got in the middle of it, and I grabbed the guy that was coming after my friend. And I didn't do it in a mean way. I just grabbed him like, hey, just calm down. It's no big deal. We're sorry. It's no big deal. Let's just let it go. Well, I guess in the process of him realizing that I wasn't his friend, he thought that I was grabbing him in a negative way, and he started swinging, and he swung to the point to where he elbowed me. But when he did, he elbowed me right near my eye, and something in my head clicked, and I just kind of blacked out. And I remember literally picking this guy up, and there was a window pane for a shop, and I had every intentions of putting this guy through the window. And the reason was because it's like, you were trying to take my sight. It wasn't anything else. That's just how I felt in that moment. Like, you're trying to take my sight. So now I'm going to really hurt you. And as I did, my friend actually called my name, and I thought about it, and I instead slammed him to the ground. And the fight broke out, and it got to be pretty bad. But there were just instances like that where it's just like anything that happened towards my face or towards my eye, I took it personally, and I took it as if you were trying to change my life and ruin my life personally. So it was hard. It was difficult, and I struggle with it. And even still to this day, there's some times where I do. But the beauty of it is, it's like, as you get older, you just start to not care. that this is me, this is who I am, this has happened. It's not that big of a deal. I still function normally. I still drive a vehicle. I still interact. I still work. Nothing's changed for me. And I've accepted it because it's part of who I am. But I know that it makes it difficult because people want to know and they want to ask and they want to talk about it. And they're scared to, maybe. I'm not sure exactly why, but I feel like maybe there's that little bit of where it's just like, well, I don't want to offend him by asking. Whereas a child will literally walk up to you and say hello. And then the next thing you know, they will look at their mom or dad and just be like, what's wrong with his eye? And to me, I'm like, that's kind of funny. And I will tell them I lost my eye. I don't have to go into why with the child, but I will tell them it's like I lost my eye and this happened when I was younger. And, it's a little different, but I'm okay. It's no big deal. And they move on. And I think adults sometimes are a little bit scared to ask that and maybe, concerned with offending or something like that. So, once again, it's one of those questions that they ask the wife or something like that. And they'll ask her, hey, what, I don't want to be weird or anything, but what happened to his eye or what's wrong with his eye? And even sometimes, depending on the situation, if people say, you look like you have sleepy eye. And I'm like, no, I don't have sleepy eye. I have dead eye. It's not there. It's no good. It doesn't work. It's been like that. So it's okay. And for anybody that's dealing with that or things like that, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Things I know are difficult. I know that you probably struggle with it. I know that you probably have people that make comments. I know that it's hard for you to understand. And even for me, being the age that I am, it's still hard because, like I said, I don't have the avenue to be able to find out everything that happened when I was a child. A couple reasons for that is, like I said, my dad was retired military. He was very purposeful in caring and keeping everything himself. And one of the things when I tried to reach out to Walter Reed Hospital, because that's where I spent a lot of my time and I had to do a lot of the procedures and eye work done. When I reached out to them and tried to find out how I could get copies of my medical records from my childhood, the first thing they said was, did your dad actually turn them in after every appointment or did he hold on to them? And I said, no, I remember him always having this brown folder that was our medical records. And they proceeded to tell me that, well, if during that time period before 2005, if you carried your records and you never turned them in or you did not turn them in, we have no copy. So because my dad never turned them in, now there is no record of any of my medical issues or any medical things that I've had done prior to 2005 on probably any time that I was a child until I became an adult. And now they started with the internet where it's like everything's online and digitalized. So, but a lot of my childhood stuff, especially with my eye, now I have no record of it. There's no way for me to find it. If somebody military happens to know, sure, reach out to me, tell me, let me know how I can. But from what I understand from Walter Reed and Fort Belvoir Hospital, neither one of them have those records there. If they didn't get turned in, they no longer have them. I thought about at one point trying to reach out to the doctor, which was doctor by the name of Dr. Katz. Thought about trying to reach out to him, but in doing so, I found that he passed away a few years ago. His own situation that I'm not going to talk about. But so that avenue is gone as well. So presently, like I said, there is no way for me to figure out exactly how or why or what I could do or what I went through. What I can tell you is that I've had the one surgery to where, like I said, my eye is still there, but it is completely whited out. I went back to have what you see here, which is an actual cover. Not sure how well you'll see it, but it's a cover that's pretty much shaped like this, and my eye actually sits inside of it. So I would have to cover it up so that way it looks like an actual eye. I've had an eyelid surgery, which you probably can't see on here, but there is a cut on my eyelid where they actually had to cut a piece of it out to lift it up because as you get older, your eyes and your body starts to form, and so it started looking more and more like it was closed. So there is a scar right above my eyebrow to where they had to cut a piece of it out and lift it up to kind of make it look a little bit more normal. Even if you're looking at me presently right now, I'm quite sure that there's this little bit of an off balance. And, like I said, that's what makes people kind of, I think, curious as to what's going on, because they see that, or they see me talking and they see one eye move and the other one's not really moving. So they're always curious about that. But like I said, this is life. This is who I am. I've done lots. I've performed. I've played music. I've played sports. I've done all of this, and I've done it with one eye. I drive. Sometimes that can be difficult. Yes, I have to turn my head completely when I'm making lane changes, especially to the left. I can be, people can wave or something to my left. I can't see that. Struggles sometimes with now, all the strain that's been put on this eye for, 40 plus years of life, is now starting to affect that, to where things like I have to wear glasses, which I wear them when I'm working mostly, or if I need to read something. And it's more or less like if things are up close, I'm okay, but or distances. But sometimes if things are a little bit too close or too small, it makes it a little bit difficult to read. So that's why lately, if you've seen me, I've been wearing glasses. But like I said, I don't have to wear them all the time. I have not been, probably as diligent as protecting it as I should be. There's been instances, like especially when I was playing drums, and I like to do stick tosses and things like that. There's been a couple times where I've done a stick toss and it's poked me and things like that, and you're just like, whoa, what just happened? So, but like I said, it is what it is. I am who I am. It is a part of me, and I am okay with that. And I have no problems talking about it. I have no problems with my friends knowing it or anybody knowing it. I really, it's what can I really do? And I would prefer that people did ask instead of, asking the wife or asking somebody else. It's just like, just ask. It's okay. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to be offended. It is a part of my everyday life that I have to deal with. And I am okay with that because I'm okay. I've dealt with it for so long that it's perfectly fine with me. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's who I am. I feel like, case in point, I'll say this. Fetty Wap came out, and I think people were more interested in his music. I think people looked at his eye. They probably are curious as to what happened to his. But, like, for instance, here's somebody that now he's famous person, walks around, his eye's out there and his situation's out there, and people don't say a word about it. I've met people that, have had, I'm not sure if it's similar situations, but I know that they've had eye issues. I marched with a guy in Blue Coats Drum and Bugle Corps that was in the tenor line. He had an eye issue. So, me and him kind of got along, and we talked about that a little bit here and there. I used to work at a dealership in Alexandria, Landmark Honda, and the general manager there was a gentleman by the name of Joe Waldman. I know that he had an eye issue, as well back then. And one of the funny things, between me, him, and actually at the time when I first started there, the service manager named Virgil, between the three of us is we always would kind of look at each other and be like, well, we always see eye to eye, because I had lost my left eye. Mr. Waldman had an issue, I believe, with his right. So if we were facing each other, these eyes would line right up so we would see each other, and it was kind of funny. And Virgil also had an eye issue as well that he dealt with. So, I've met people that have dealt with it. I've met people that, have their versions of their eye issues, and it's normal. Like I see it more often, and to me, it's like when I see it, I'm just like, oh, curious, But I don't ask because maybe they don't feel comfortable with it, or maybe they don't feel like talking about it, or maybe to them it would be weird. But to the people that, like I said, Virgil and Mr. Wallman and my friend from Drum Corps, we talked about it, and we kind of understood what was going on, and it was cool. It was nice to be able to have people like that you could talk to. But like I said, it also made me more open to things. But back to, like I said, with Fetty Wap, he made it okay for people to see that. And, like I said, I don't know his situation. I don't know how he lost his. So, anybody knows, great, tell me. I never really looked into it or looked up to it, whatever. But here's somebody that's successful that, led his life, and didn't let that deter him and not worried about it. So, why should I? Um, have I've always had people talk to me and say, well, have you ever thought about, getting a surgery? And my thing now is like, I'm 52. I think it would be a little bit too hard of an adjustment to be able to see out of both eyes again. Um, and frankly, like I said, makes me unique, makes me different. So no, I'm okay. I don't need to have an eye surgery, so I'm not going to. Like I said, I just wanted to make this really short. I wanted to, talk about the elephant in the room and talk about my eye situation. Like I said, I wish I had more details. I wish I could, lay out everything and show you guys everything and show this doctor report and this and that. But honestly, like I said, I can't. I don't have it, so I can't. If you know me well. You know that this is a true thing, that I do have my eye. I don't have my left eye. And like I said, I will, you know what? It's, why not? If we're going to be, if this is going to be something that I'm going to be open and honest and I'm going to share everything, then I'm going to share everything with you. So I'm going to say to this, to anybody that's watching, if you're squeamish, if you're, if it's something that you don't want to see, then I would say this would be the part that you might want to turn away from. But like I said, if you are and you're curious, then continue watching. And like I said, I'm going to do this because I kind of do want to wrap this video up, and it's been going for a while. So I just want to do this and show you guys what I'm talking about. So here we go. Like I said, this is going to be a little weird. So, but this is something that I have to do. I do this pretty often, especially before bed and especially at night, because sometimes you do get a lot of fluid and stuff that needs to be cleaned out of it. So, like I said, if you are squeamish, if it's something that you don't want to see, or if it's something that freaks you out or you're freaked out by it, then I'm just going to tell you now, turn away, turn it off, whatever. You've heard a majority of it. I'm not going to talk too much after this, so you wouldn't be missing very much other than some thank yous and my ending statement. But for those that do want to curious, here it is. So, like I said, this is a cover. But as you can see, this is my eye. This is the cover that I've talked about. It looks like a normal eye from this side, but like I said, it is a cover. Whether you can or you can't, I'll open this up. As you can see, there is an eye that is there. It's not a hole in my head. It's not, you're not seeing my brain. For all the stupid or funny people that think it's a joke, whatever. No, I'm not removing like this whole ball or whatever. It is just, that is my eye. Like I said, it is completely white. There's nothing there. There's no vision there. I can't see anything. But this is what's underneath. And like I said, this is the true me, I guess you could say, without like anything covering it or whatever. But if I were to walk around, this is what I would walk around looking like. But like I said, as a child, that this was formed by Mr. Dr. Katz. It is fragile. I'm sure it could break, but it has dropped a couple times. Funny stories about it. I will say, there's been a couple times that I've gone to bed, and because of the older that I've gotten, sometimes things happen, and I've woken up and I can instantly tell when it's not there. I know when it's not there because, like I said, what happens, you feel that it's just almost like when you're out in the cold and you have a coat on and you take your coat off, you feel the wind breeze hit. Well, when I remove this cover, like I said, the wind hits my eye and instantaneously, like, I know something's wrong. And so there's been a couple nights where I've been asleep and I can feel the breeze on it, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And I can feel, oh my God, it's not there. And it's made for some really interesting times. I've found it in the bed under a pillow. I've found that I've been laying on it. I found it on the floor. Like, it's and it happens. And all I could do now is laugh at it. But like, The first time that it happened, uh, I was in bed and I freaked out because I didn't want my wife to figure or see it because she's never seen this. Um, and I freaked out because I'm just like, oh my God, what if she's laying on it? Oh my God, what if she finds it? She touches it. Oh, and I just kind of freaked about it. And it ended up being that it was on the floor and I found it and got up and cleaned it out. But she did wake up and she was just like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, nothing, go to bed, nothing, go to bed, go to bed, just go back to sleep. Don't worry about it. And then finally I was just like, I lost my eye. So, but like I said, I laugh at it now. It's hilarious to me now and it's funny, but like I said, things happen and it's okay. So, but like I said, I just wanted to share this with you guys. Um, I appreciate those that take the time to listen to this, that takes the time to watch this. And like I said, if you're my friend or anything like that, or even if you're not and you have questions about it, if you're parents and you have kids that are dealing with Coates disease and you've need somebody to talk to, then by all means contact me through the Boozy Beats Bang podcast. The email address for that is boozybeatsbang@gmail.com, and it's all spelled out. Reach out to me, send me a message. I'll gladly talk to you or give you my insight or give you my thoughts on it or whatever I can for what I can, because like I said, do remember that this is something that I've just dealt with. But as far as dealing with it and understanding it, and I don't understand the actual disease itself, but the life of living with it, I do understand. So if anybody wants to reach out and talk about it, that's fine. I'm more than willing to do that. Like I said, I thank all of you. I appreciate you guys for taking the time to listen to this. I appreciate you guys checking out the first episode I did with Mike Longhelt. Um, and please just continue to share it, give it some likes. Like I said, I'm working on getting it on Apple Podcasts. That could take a little bit, but I will check. But like I said, we are on Spotify, iHeart. We're working on Google and a few others. There's a bunch that are on there, and I'll have to list them. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all. And here's to the next episode, which we'll see when that is. I'm working on a couple different things. So take care, guys. Have a good day, and I will see you soon. Peace out.